there's still quite a bit of work we still have to do. Where's my agenda? Okay. Board, we're moving, I think we've covered everything. We're to the board's chair report. I do have business that needs to be taken care of under this, so I'll keep this as efficient as I possibly can. Under that House Bill 442, the Underage Drinking Prevention Program Advisory Council, I don't know a lot about it, but if you're interested in it, please submit to leadership your name if you're interested in serving on that. What's that? I have no idea when they meet, what they meet, but I can certainly, yes.
They indicated they thought in the beginning it'd be about once a month. The underage drinking prevention
What's that?
program.
This is the Underage Drinking Prevention Program. I can find something out if I can. Maybe I'll get Emily to research this out. Emily, will you research this out on the Underage Drinking Prevention Program, please? And then get with Lorraine, and we'll figure this out. Because I know Lorraine's going to be busy after this meeting. Okay, and then we'll shoot something out to you, and then an invitation to get back with us. Okay, that's one item. There is just I wanted to give you an update on our school trust land director. The interim director, Paul Plan, is doing a good job. SITLA, SIFO, still finding a lot of success. The wheels are still on. Good things are happening. I'm very much aware, I'm sure you're aware of an additional, I think it's 18 point something $million that's going to our schools to the betterment of our students. As you know, we have an interim director. There's a Jennifer Johnson chairs the Board of Trustees Nominating Committee. The committee's met. They've appointed Jonathan Bates to chair the search subcommittee. And right now they're entertaining doing an international search. This program, both the oversight over SITLA and SITFO, is really growing. It's getting big. It's a lot different. There's an evolution taking place here that's quite significant with a lot of potential. So making sure they get the right individual into this search. It will be very, very significant and beneficial to our students. That's my update. If you have any questions, feel free to get back with me. I'm measuring that progress, and I am included in their progression. Okay, the next item of business is, Angie, can I get you to come up, please? Is R277, R277 700 that was adopted back in the third reading in August, and then filed by the staff with the Office of Administrative Rules for public comment. The rule was published September 1st and was open for public comment for all of September. During the public comment period, a group of 10 individuals or other agencies associated representing at least 10 people or more can file a request for a public hearing. We've had 3. I'm going really fast because I know your time's important and we got lots, but I think this is really important. We've received 3 requests for a public hearing on R277 700. The first being the groups are the UEA, Utah Education Association. The second is the Utah State Democratic Party's Education Caucus. The third is the Utah Cultural Alliance. We are now required to hold a public hearing between today and October 2nd. Okay, as chair, and that I'm proposing this date because it sets up really well with a lot of individuals, but it might not set everyone's schedule, but the public hearing will be held at the USBE on September 20th, beginning at 5 p.m. That had been a turn-off time. I imagine it'll be 5 to 8, could go 5 to 9. We're just going to weigh that out before we get all that published. All board members are welcome to attend. And we're there to attend. There will be a hearing officer appointed, and the hearing officer, it will be AAG David Thomas, and there's rules of engagement, and hopefully all board members will pay attention to those, and we'll be preparing for that. Am I leaving anything out? What else, Angie, what else do I need to add to this?
Just a couple of items, just so you're all aware. I've been working on a frequently asked questions related to the administrative rule process that the board undertakes, including how people can request a public hearing, because there may be members of the public that don't often request hearings from the public or aren't aware of our public hearing process. So I'm hoping to get that posted on Monday, as well as this graph that we've been working on. Board Member Ellis saw something on the Administrative Rules website that's a little more detailed than this, and we've kind of adapted it to the board. So hopefully that's something, those two things will be something you can share with your constituents along with the date of the hearing. And other than that, because of Board Policy 1002, which you adopted today, I can assure you that because a public hearing was requested, I will not be filing an effective date notice for that rule until after the October board meeting, to allow you an opportunity to consider the public comment and take any action you'd like. So at this point, for members of the public to know, the earliest that this rule could take effect is October 16th. So it's not in effect right now. Some people have questioned. They thought that once the board adopted it, that it immediately took effect. Actually, once the board adopts the rule, it then goes to the official, through the official administrative rulemaking process with additional public comment, and the rule cannot be made effective until after that full process is completed.
Angie, just one sec. Vice Chair Ellis, you had a question?
Yeah. I guess I know the answer to the question, but I thought other people might want to know. Could you tell everyone when the last day is, because we just barely got another request for hearing, when the last day that the public or the entities or whoever can request a hearing is?
Yes, in the administrative rules, you're allowed up to the first 15 days after public comment. So September 15th would be the last date that anybody could file a request for a public hearing. And if you're wondering why somebody might want to request a public hearing, given the fact that we're going to have the public hearing, in the past, for example, you'll remember with the APT, or some of you will remember with R277511, which was the academic pathway to teaching, we had about 7 requests for public hearings. We allowed each of those to have somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes as a group to present their comments, and then individuals had 2 to 3 minutes each after that. So a group may want to submit a request so that they can have a consolidated time or a more lengthened time. I think depending on the number of requests we get, I mean, if we get 50 requests for public hearing, that of course will shorten the length. When we've only had, for example, with our High School Activities Association rule and the UPAC rule, when there was only one entity that requested the hearing, we allowed 30 minutes. So really it depends on the number of public hearing requests that we receive, how much time we will allot to those groups, and that will be something that AAG Dave Thomas will, and I, and with anybody's input, we will work on to establish kind of those ground rules based, and we could take your feedback.
Okay. Any other questions? So this is moving forward. In the interest of time also, it's on here as an action item. If I can have you pay attention to the draft 2018 meeting schedule. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to.
Not the calendar again. And I do have something before we before we go down to fewer board members, I have something.
Well, okay. There's a calendar. Seeking a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve that calendar temporarily until the next board meeting
As a draft?
as a draft, until there are other changes to be made.
I second.
We have enough to
Yeah,
put
actually, we
it
just
in.
move it
It's your-
forward. Don't worry.
Why
they
do we even need to
don't.
vote on a draft? I mean, makes no sense.
What's that?
So we have a ballpark idea.
But we already do. It's right here in front of us.
Yeah, we don't have to vote on a draft.
You know what?
Okay.
Actually, with the change, it's been given to you.
Yep,
So this is it.
So,
Okay.
And then the
so,
next board meeting, it'll be,
we could.
we could do it today.
yeah. Good.
Board Member Stokes.
Okay, so there's some errors on here. We
Oh, is
should
there?
We should fix. The March meeting, I'm sure there, March 1 is probably a Thursday and March 2nd probably a Friday. So that needs to be fixed because it says Thursday.
Thursday.
Additionally, are you saying that we'll actually have our board meeting on Thursday and we'll have the standing committees on Friday? Because right now it says Thursday, it's board meeting, Friday, it's standing committees, USDB, and study session. Are you talking about reversing them? That's all of next year, right?
Hold it. They're supposed to be switched. No,
Okay.
mine's not. No, they're not switched.
They're not.
Well, that's it. You're,
They are. That was mine. First day, the third.
oh, yeah, it is switched, yeah.
Okay.
That
so-
is correct.
Okay, so
The
that,
dates are incorrect.
that leads me to the big question that I wanted to ask earlier and was shot,
Okay.
out of order.
This
So,
is the time to ask the question.
yeah. At what point and who decided we were not going to have Thursday meeting, evening meetings, and then Friday meeting? When did that all happen?
When did it happen?
Well, I know when it happened, but when was the
Okay.
decision made?
The decision was made about 3-4 months ago, and it was presented at one time to the board, and the implementation date was not set in stone. There was confusion on the implementation date of that change, and so we said, oh, we're not going to do it this month. We'll start it next because we want to make sure everybody had plenty of notice. And the purpose, when you say who, it was board leadership. Some of the chairs of committees were also engaged in part of the conversation, but the decision was made to do that for a couple of reasons. One is a majority of the board members concerned that they do not have time to evaluate what happens in a committee the night before to act responsibly the next day. And when you go to a local board, most of their action, most of the work that happens before something gets put in action, there's a whole month lag unless it's an emergency. So in an effort to appease all of those concerns, so because a lot of our board members want to be engaged in what happened in the committee, digest it, think about it, view the video, and that the remedy, because not everyone can be there to handle that time thing, was why don't we, because we have this window of a Thursday, Friday, a good portion of the board members, not all, blocked out a Thursday, Friday out of their life. Some only blocked out Thursday night and Friday period, and that's all that they want to be engaged on the board. I've heard this from several, but not the majority. But in talking with them, the Thursday, Friday pretty much is going to consume your life on the board. So to appease and not go too quickly on action that comes out of the committee, let's just reverse the days. So with that said, by having your committee action happen on a Friday, staff and other people that are not on the committee can read, research, view online or the committee meetings to act responsibly, and we're not rushing.
So it'll happen the next month. That
Yeah,
is
the
what you're
action
saying.
takes place
But
the next month.
Couldn't that just have been done by holding the Thursday evening meeting, and then that Thursday evening meeting information would have appeared on the next board meeting, not the one the next day. And I'm sorry, I know I'm in and out of these meetings. I just don't remember ever voting on or changing the meeting schedule.
Who puts a meeting schedule together is board leadership. And our meeting, some people perceive that their only meetings were happening only Thursday night, which is not a true statement. All that I've been on the board, they started at 1, they started at noon, sometimes 2, sometimes 11. Your Thursday, Friday's pretty
In the
well
past,
shot.
the committee meetings, I agree, but you got to make the decision to attend your meeting in the evening. If you didn't want to come for the work sessions during the day, you could do that on Thursday. But I know I didn't vote on this. I don't think you voted on this. I don't think you voted on this. And quite honestly, all the discussion we're having about that we've got to vote on these and adopt them would indicate we ought to have a vote on it as a board and have that discussion. I appreciate that you're taking the bull by the horns and trying to change the schedule, but I feel like the board should have made that ultimate decision once board leadership brought it back. My opinion only.
Well, I value your opinion. More discussion? Okay, Vice Chair Warner?
Hey, one last thing.
Oh, a follow-up.
The July meeting, I find it a little comical that we're going to have a July meeting, but I find it even more comical that the July meeting is titled board meeting and in parentheses, abbreviated meeting for committee reports and budget. That's never, ever been abbreviated. You just as well put board meeting as July 13th. And my view, and we'll discuss this next month, is that we not have a July board meeting. We have plenty of other meetings to meet the constitutional or our board rule standard. What? That's what I'm saying.
I just wanted to also clarify that one of the reasons why we switched that and had that discussion is because our staff was getting home like at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
And I understand. And since we're on that particular topic, it's one day a month, right? And our staff works for us, right? Is that?
Yeah, but I mean, they're there early in the morning until.
But we've made a whole mess of changes recently that are totally accommodating of everyone else besides us. So we now start our executive committee meeting in the morning so that people can get here later. They can arrive at 9. We eat during lunchtime while we're doing our executive or our closed door meetings so that the people from the general public that are coming can go and have lunch. The general public now has to come during the day, and really we're on Thursday for committee meetings, we're really accommodating the professionals that monitor us, meaning the reporters, the charter school board folks, the UEA folks, because they don't have to come at night now. Then the general public isn't accommodated by being able to come in the evening to our committee meetings, which is when the general public would have the time to come and do it. So we've made all kinds of changes which have been accommodating of everybody but us and having our and talking about. So
Okay. Okay, well, who had something, and then who was first? Okay, Board Member Reeby.
So Board Member Hanson just pointed out that the Board Executive Committee shall schedule meetings with committee chairs based on the needs and priorities of the board. Well, the needs and the priorities of the board would be my need and my priorities. And my priority is to have my constituents understand what's happening and have an opinion and be able to voice that in comments. When I was offered the great opportunity to be on finance, we discussed the reasons why we were changing our schedule. And I liked the fact that we had 2 different times, and I was willing to accommodate that. But I have to agree with Board Member Stokes that we were never counseled whether we thought that it was better to start earlier, go all day. I am not okay with it. I do not like getting here at 8 o'clock on Thursday and then getting here at 8 o'clock on Friday. I would much prefer to get here later on Thursday.
What time?
And then also give me some time to be in other committee meetings, because to leave my job as a teacher is hard. We talk about teachers not even ever using a sick day because they can't leave their schools. am I the only person that has a job that is hard to leave? I mean, I don't understand like how we all are. I mean, I know Scott speaks about it. Our staff, when they stay here all day, and I appreciate everything they do, I appreciate all their hard work, but they get comp time, I guess, when they stay late. I don't get comp time. It's just gone. So I'm told frequently that the staff works for us. And so I need to have some say into my calendar. And I think that we need to be more respectful of the teachers that are out there and the parents and our stakeholders and our constituents who can't make it here during the day to comment on some of the things we're doing.
Okay, and I just want, we're going to come to this, but a lot of the directions come to me, and I want to hit each one of these are really important in that. And I'm not sure if we're going to have it all resolved, but I think we can get it resolved next month when we finalize this. But I just want to throw something really clear out that's really, that's through the evolution of all of this on the accommodation of side of things. If I was king of the day, I'd have all these meetings in the evening, and I'd rather do it 3. But here's the biggest question I want you guys to think about as we're beating this thing up, and that is how much time, and this is what I'm going to ask you to do, how much time and when will you put that time in as board members, as a chair, and I'm doing the very best, and I think leadership is doing their very best to accommodate all of the needs, especially the needs of the request of the agenda and how much time it takes to move everyone's personal agendas forward in order to get it done, whatever it is, whether it's budgeting and other things. So if this board, and we want to open this up, if you say, I just want to go back the way it was, where I have that evening for my personal reasons and for the public, and just the following day like it was before, it's going to take a lot of discipline from this board to be able to move the agenda forward, because there isn't, when you look at those few hours that we have, Friday 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and the hours in that evening, that few hours in the evening, I'm here to say, based on results and based on what is being asked and requested and the time spent on issues for board members, it's not going to get done. And so whoever you have as chair and leadership that's trying to put this agenda together to streamline this, it's not going to get done. And so I'm just telling you from my perspective, I've only been here this short period of time trying to move things forward as fast as we possibly can and trying to accommodate a lot of people. I want you, if you guys would just think about that as you're really establishing and digging your heels into whatever position that you want to have. I'm not knocking it or putting it down, but as I'm still chairing and as I work with leadership, that's going to be real important to me, because it will set the agenda. And then if we're locked into these certain these tighter time zones and stuff, then a lot of stuff isn't going to get on the agenda, or we're going to have to do something a little different with that to streamline it, to try to accommodate all of that. But
Can I follow up?
you can do a follow-up, and then we're going to go to Carol,
So there is
and your lights on.
there is a phone number and a name associated with every agenda item. I do not think we're taking advantage of that contact as much as we should be. A lot of the conversation we have, a lot of the questions we have, a lot of the clarifying remarks we have can be done prior to being at our board meetings. That would be my big ask. We also have lots of documents on our agendas that aren't really being looked at prior. And I think that if we all did our homework a little bit more, including myself, that we could probably streamline our meetings.
Okay.
And I just want to
Lear,
put
and
in,
then
I just want to put in another plug for not missing 2 days of work. And I watched, I don't know how many years of board meetings where it was 3 to 6 or 9 or however long it took. But one evening allowed people who have to work during the day to work during the day. And that is really important to me. And I hear what you're saying. I think, and speaking for myself, I'm not blaming anyone, but I hear what you're saying about refining our comments, streamlining our comments, disciplining ourselves. But we also could consider things like, suddenly we're now reviewing policies in addition to rules. We never reviewed policies before. We never had policies. I mean, maybe that's not necessary. I just think we ought to revisit everything that we're doing if we need to streamline and get it down to 6 hours on one day and 8 hours on another. I think it's doable. And I very much also think that we owe that evening opportunity to people who have to work in different kinds of jobs than some of us have and can't come except after work.
Vice Chair Ellis.
I'm a proponent of the evening, but Chair Huntsman, he came here a few months ago with some proposals, and we had a discussion, and everyone kind of gave feedback, and so that's kind of where this spawned this move for making some changes. I wasn't, I am the proponent of the evening, but it seems like with discussion with the chairs of the committees that they preferred the morning. And so that's kind of where that came, but nobody's trying to railroad anybody or do anything. Chair Huntsman takes a lot of calls from a lot of members of the board with a lot of different opinions. And so every month we have discussions and leadership meeting trying to figure out how to accommodate all of the various viewpoints and perspectives and needs, and it's almost impossible to do so. And so I just wanted to, to defend the chair because he's taken a lot of heat for this, that, it is because there's.
Hey, I'm not,
Right.
I wear my brass pants every day.
Okay, but I also, so I wanted to bring a little brevity to this. And so the idea of postponing a month spawned from my attendance to NASB. So I'm very thankful for that, those dues that are being paid, because it gave me this idea after listening to other boards across the country that they postpone their votes because it gave the public
at
more
the door?
opportunity to listen
door?
and to give feedback because they don't understand the process. So I'm very thankful for this flow chart, and it'll help that because the public just doesn't really understand. They see it, it's voted, they think it's done, and they're wondering where the discussion was. And this will help alleviate some of that, and it will also help us be more educated. Anyway, so I just wanted to make those points.
See ya.
Can I make a comment?
Okay, sorry, that was my wife who's out there saying.
Yes, so's
You're
mine.
supposed to be
I
there
mean,
in
I don't have
15
a wife, but my husband's.
So I apologize for that
Can I just-
distraction, but I will take her call. Board Member Hanson and then
I
Nielsen.
just wanted to make a couple of comments. So I've been on the board for almost 3 years now. And the reason why our committee is meeting in the daytime is because we met at night and we met in the day. And it went very much smoother in the day because people seem to be more alert and have figured out how, anyway, they were just more alert. We could get things done a lot quicker than at night after they'd been working a whole long day. And then they'd come in and everybody kind of not be as alert and attentive. And that's one of the reasons that I thought it would be better to meet in the day. So that's on me because I just thought it was better.
Okay, Board Member Nielsen
Okay.
and then Board Member.
And I
Belknap.
just thoroughly, let me disagree with Linda, which is okay. Won't be the first time. Okay, but thoroughly. Now, next, I'm okay. I personally think that it's much better for the public to be able to come in the evenings because the vast majority of people who are interested in these types of topics are working. And since they're working, the bottom line is they're not going to take off work to come in to address something that may be important to them. And so that they just won't do it. The secondly is I want the leadership to know that I really do. I understand and I greatly appreciate the time and the effort that you guys put in because I know it's excessive and I know it's much more than, I guess you could say, average Joe Board Member Nielsen. But I will say this. But one thing I do not agree with is I don't agree that that leadership should make arbitrary decisions as far as scheduling times and making these large changes without an actual vote before the entire board so we all have a voice in that decision. I don't think that's the correct procedure and the correct way to go just from my personal aspect. So thank you.
Board Member Belknap.
Chair, thank you. I won't belabor except with one comment that I've been missing Thursdays and Fridays since I came to this board. And it used to be that I'd come here at 11 or 12 or 1, spend the whole day, and then I'd get home at somewhere between 9, 10, and 11 at night. And so for me, it was much more comfortable for me. And so when Kathleen talks about, about me, I'm kind of on the opposite end of that if we're talking about us only. I realize it's got to be a full group, so.
Any further
You know, I would like to say one other thing also, is that Chair Huntsman did say something about having the committees go back into the evening, and I was one that asked Laura Belknap if our committee could meet during the day because it's easier for our staff and for me. And I thought that a couple of others thought that same way. If it's not Spencer, I'd be glad to talk to Laura and arm wrestle with her to go into the evening.
My only issue is not that it we're changing, but we didn't get to have the
Yeah.
discussion and we
Okay.
changed, because we would have prevented this. Now, are we to board member comments?
No, I'm not
Okay.
done with my report.
Okay.
Any other? Okay, I'm almost done with my report. From my perspective, this is not a career thing for me. And the more I can spend at work, the better my shareholders would like it. I have a lot going on. I appreciate your patience, and I'm not taking any of this personal. But, so I'm going to challenge you again, give this a lot of thought of where we're going to go with this, because when we set this schedule, we'll set it and we'll make it work. But this is your board. And from my perspective, we're lacking a lot of respect to something that's really important, and that's our agenda and our schedule. I don't know why, but it's not there. And as a chair, I've got to try to move it forward. So I'm hoping, as you reflect on this past year, on the good meetings, the bad meetings, the long meetings, the hard meetings, that you keep that in mind of what made a bad meeting. And then also what made a good meeting. I'm not knocking anybody, but because this is your time, and I respect your time. I want to make sure I don't run over anybody, that they all have opportunity when you want to speak and take the dialogue on forever. But it comes that there's a consequence that's attached to it. So give this a little thought, if you would. I want what you want. I want to hear what you say, and I've been listening, but I'd sure like to get this put to bed, and then we can move on, and then we'll operate within that. And frankly, if we can't get stuff done, then as long as I'm chair, I'm going to have to go to you and say, you know what, it's not getting done. Do you want to have another meeting? Because it's going to take more time. And so that's what we've been trying to do, is accommodate all that, the need to move things forward. So thank you for what you do. I'm not taking any of it personal. Let's see if we can bring some betterment. So that concludes my report. Thank you for your service.